Hello, Algebra 1 CP students. This is a lesson for my B-Day classes for May 8th and my A-Day classes for May 11th. So this is our last lesson before we're going to start learning factoring, okay? Our last chance to kind of go over our basics and strengthen some things. So in this lesson, it's mostly going to be a review. I'm going to review multiplying binomials by using the FOIL method, because you're almost going to have to know how to do that in your head. And then the second is we're going to look at a few examples where you're going to be given a product and a sum of two numbers, two integers, and you have to figure out what those two numbers are. And it may seem like an arbitrary, almost like an arbitrary number puzzle we're doing in the middle of this algebra lesson, but next lesson you'll see how it all comes together, okay? All right, so first, let's review the FOIL method. So if you remember, if you're multiplying two binomials, binomial is a sum of two terms. So if you're multiplying 2 by 2 terms, you can employ this method called the FOIL method. The acronym tells you what terms and in what order to multiply them. First terms, x squared, outer terms 5x, inner terms 3x, and then 15. So you get x squared plus 5x plus 3x plus 15, okay? All right. All right, so let's try an actual example. So problem 1, multiply x plus 4 times x plus 5. So I'm going to first write the problem, and then I'm going to employ or apply the FOIL pattern, first, outer, inner, last. The first terms are x times x, the outer terms are x times 5, the inner terms are 4 times x, the last terms are 4 times 5. Okay, so x times x is x squared, 5 times x is 5x, 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 5 is 20, and then I'm going to simplify x squared plus 9x plus 20. X plus 4 times x plus 5 equals x squared plus 9x plus 20. Okay, next class, I'm going to be giving you the result, and we're going to be going backwards, okay? This time, I'm giving you two binomials to multiply, and you're giving me the trinomial. Next class, I'm going to be giving you the trinomial, and we're going to have to come up with the two binomials that multiply them. All right, so problem 2. We're going to multiply the binomials 5x plus 3 times 2x minus 5. So first I'm going to write the problem, 5x plus 3 times 2x minus 5. I'm going to apply the FOIL pattern for multiplying two binomials. First, the product of first terms, 5x times 2x. The product of outer terms, 5x times negative 5. The product of inner terms, 3 times 2x. And the product of last terms, 3 times negative 5. When you multiply, 5x times 2x is 10x squared, 5x times negative 5 is negative 25x, 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And when you combine like terms, you get 10x squared minus 19x minus 15. So 5x plus 3 times 2x minus 5 equals 10x squared minus 9x minus 15. All right, and again, next time I'm going to be giving you the answer, and we're going to have to come up with the two binomials that result in that quadratic trinomial, okay? All right. Problem 3, multiply 9x minus 3 times 4x minus 1. I'm going to start by writing out the problem, 9x minus 3 times 4x minus 1. I'm going to apply the FOIL pattern. 9x times 4x is the product of first terms. 9x times negative 1 is the product of, outer terms. Negative 3x times 4x is the product of inner terms. And negative 3 times negative 1 is the product of last terms. So I'm going to multiply 36x squared minus 9x minus 12x plus 3, and then combine like terms to get 36x squared minus 21x plus 3. So 9x minus 3 times 4x minus 1 equals 36x squared minus 21x plus 3. Okay. All right. Problem 4. This seems like an arbitrary type of problem to solve, but you'll see next class why it's important. So for problem 4, part A, you're asked to find two numbers whose product is 15 and whose sum is 8. So what you're looking for two numbers so that when you multiply them, you get 15, and when you add them, you get 8, okay? So let's try now. You might already kind of know what these numbers are right away, and for a lot of them you will, but I'm going to show you the process of kind of a trial and error. So I'm going to let's try 1 and 15, right? I'm going to start with the product and then check the sum. You can do it the other way, but this is kind of how it's done in books and so on. So I'm going to try 1 and 15. 1 times 15 is 15. So I did find two numbers whose product is 15. Now I'm going to check if their sum is also 8. 1 plus 15 is 16. It's not 8. So those two numbers cannot be 1 and 15. So what are some other numbers that multiply to equal 15? Let's try 3 and 5. 3 times 5 is 15, so that checks. Now I'm going to be checking if their sum is 8. 3 plus 5 is 8, so that checks as well. So I was asked to find two numbers so that their product is 15 and their sum is 8, and the two numbers are 3 and 5. Or you can say they're 5 and 3, right? Whatever. It's a list, so you can list it in any order. All right? Now, part B, find two numbers whose product is 18 and whose sum is 11. So you're looking for two numbers that when you multiply them, you get 18, and when you add them, you get 11. So I'm going to be checking the product and the sum. Let's try 1 and 18. If you check the product, 1 times 18 is in fact 18. Now let's check the sum. 1 plus 18 is 19. It's not 11, okay? Because you're looking for the sum of 11. How about 3 and 6? 3 times 6 is 18, so the product is 18. 3 plus 6 is 9. It's not 11, okay? So 3 and 6 doesn't work. How about 2 and 9? 2 times 9 is 18, so the product is 18. 2 plus 9 is 11, and the sum is 11. So I found the two numbers. You were asked to find two numbers whose product is 18 and whose sum is 11, and you found them. Those two numbers are 2 and 9. Or you can say 9 and 2. It's just a list. You can list them in any order. Okay. And then what happens if there's like negative numbers involved? So problem number 5. Find two numbers whose product is negative 30 and whose sum is 1. So you're looking for two numbers so that when you multiply them, you get negative 30, and when you add them, you get 1. Okay, because you're looking for two numbers whose product is negative, it's guaranteed that one of them is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative, right? It's guaranteed that one of them is going to be positive, one of them is going to be negative. So let's try negative 6 and 5. Negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. So the product of negative 30 checks. What about the sum? Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. I was looking for positive 1. So negative 6 and 5 are not my two numbers because while their product is negative 30, their sum is not 1. How about 6 and negative 5? What if I just swap the negative sign? 6 times negative 5 is in fact negative 30, so the product checks. Now 6 plus negative 5 is 1. Which is what I'm looking for, right? I am looking for 1. So my answer, the two numbers are then 6 and negative 5. Or negative 5 and 6, right? You can swap the two numbers, just don't swap the negative sign. And problem 5, part B, find two numbers whose product is negative 18 and whose sum is negative 3. So you're looking for two numbers so that when you multiply them, you get negative 18, and when you add them, you get negative 3. So how about we try negative 2 and 9? Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. So the product checks. Negative 2 plus 9 is 7, not negative 3. So the sum does not check. 2 times negative 9, how about if we swap the signs, right? 2 times negative 9 is negative 18, so the product checks. 2 plus negative 9 is negative 7, so the sum does not check. What about negative 3 and 6? Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18, so the product checks. Negative 3 plus 6 is 3, not negative 3. So not negative 3, so the sum doesn't check. What about if we swap the signs? 3 times negative 6. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18, so the product checks. 3 plus negative 6 is negative 3. So the sum also checks. All right, so my two numbers must be 3 and negative 6 then, okay? So that's what I want you to do for the second part of the homework. Now, let's organize our results in a table. So this is how I give you the homework. The first column is the product of the two numbers. The second column is the sum of the two numbers. And in the third column, you're going to put your two numbers. So in example 4, part A, we were asked to find two numbers whose product is 15 and whose sum is 8. And those numbers are 3 and 5. In the second example 4B, you were asked to find two numbers whose product is 18 and the sum is 11. Those numbers were 2 and 9. In the next example, you were asked to find two numbers whose product is negative 30, whose sum is 1, and it was 6 and negative 5. And in the last example, you were asked to find the two numbers whose product is negative 18 and whose sum is negative 3, and those numbers were 3 and negative 6. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover this lesson. Just review FOIL and practice those little number problems, and then next time we're going to start factoring. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be graphing lines and factoring are the two most important skills from Algebra 1. Okay, so we did graphing lines, and we're going to cover the second most important skill. It's the one that's most often used in other math classes. So we're going to go kind of really slow, do a lot of examples, take it very seriously. But this is the lesson for today. Okay, and then I have the due dates for the homework assignment. Have a wonderful weekend.